Imagine a world where kings rule with absolute power, where the rich feast on lavish banquets while the poor struggle for a single loaf of bread. Now, imagine that same world turned completely upside down, where the king is dragged from his golden palace and sentenced to death by his own people. This is the story of the French Revolution, one of the most explosive and dramatic events in human history. A time when ordinary people stood up against a powerful monarchy and changed the world forever. But what really happened? And why did it all spiral into chaos? Stay with me, because this is a story of hope, betrayal, bloodshed, and revolution. And it's more shocking than you ever imagined. For centuries, France was ruled by kings who believed they were chosen by God. The country was divided into three estates. First estate, the clergy, church leaders. Second estate, the nobility, rich lords and aristocrats. Third estate, everyone else, peasants, workers, and middle class. Here's the problem. While the first two estates lived in luxury, the third estate made up 98% of the population, and they were the ones paying all the taxes. Imagine working day and night, barely affording food, while the wealthy throw extravagant parties. Sounds unfair, right? And things got even worse. By the 1780s, France was broke. The country had spent millions helping the American Revolution fight against Britain. To make matters worse, bad harvests led to skyrocketing bread prices, and people were starving. People stood in long lines for bread, only to find it gone before they reached the front. Families ate scraps, while the nobility dined on exquisite feasts of roasted meats, fresh fruits, and fine wine. Meanwhile, King Louis XVI and his queen, Marie Antoinette, lived in the grand palace of Versailles, throwing extravagant balls and spending money as if the country wasn't crumbling. Marie Antoinette was even rumored to have said, "Let them eat cake," when told the people had no bread. Did she really say it? Probably not. But people hated her anyway. One lesser-known story from this time involves a young boy named Jacques Ménétral, the son of a glassmaker. In his memoirs, he described watching his mother cry as she handed over her last coins for bread, while noblewomen paraded through the streets in silk dresses. His story echoed the silent screams of millions who had suffered in the shadows of Versailles. The people of France had had enough. They wanted change, and soon they would take matters into their own hands. By 1789, the crisis was too big to ignore. King Louis XVI called a meeting of the Estates General, a gathering of representatives from all three estates. The third estate thought they would finally have a say in fixing the country. They were wrong. The king and nobles still refused to share power. Furious, the Third Estate broke away and declared themselves the National Assembly, vowing to create a new government. In a dramatic moment, they met at a tennis court and swore the tennis court oath, promising not to stop until they had a fair constitution. The revolution had begun. But the real turning point came on July 14th, 1789, the day the people stormed the Bastille, a huge prison in Paris that symbolized the king's power. Armed with whatever they could find, the people attacked. The guards fired at the crowd, but they were overrun. The Bastille was taken, and its governor was killed and beheaded, his head paraded through the streets on a pike. One forgotten hero of this day was Pierre-Augustin Hulin, a soldier who had fought in the 7 Years' War. He led the charge on the Bastille, urging the people to keep fighting despite heavy gunfire. His bravery helped turn the tide of the attack, proving that even soldiers could join the revolution. The message was clear. The people were in charge now. Across France, the revolution spread like wildfire. The peasants, tired of being treated like dirt, attacked the homes of nobles, burned records of debt, and demanded equality. The Declaration of the Rights of Man and Citizen was written, a powerful document stating that all men are born free and equal. The king was forced to accept it. But was he really on board with the revolution? Not at all. One night, in 1791, King Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette tried to escape France in disguise. They almost made it, but were caught near the border. The people were furious. The king had betrayed them. By 1792, France became a republic, and the monarchy was officially abolished. The once mighty King Louis XVI was put on trial and sentenced to death. On January 21st, 1793, he was led to the guillotine. The crowd watched as the executioner lifted the king's head for all to see. One haunting detail, as the blade fell, a single voice in the crowd yelled, "Vive la République!" The revolution had claimed its most powerful victim. 1 year later, Marie Antoinette met the same fate. As she stepped onto the scaffold, she accidentally stepped on the executioner's foot. Her last words were, "Pardon me, sir, I meant not to do it." A simple phrase, yet a powerful moment of dignity in the face of death. The revolution had started with hope, but now it was ruled by fear. A man named Maximilien Robespierre took control, believing that the revolution had enemies everywhere. To protect it, he introduced the Reign of Terror, a brutal period when anyone suspected of being against the revolution was executed. One lesser-known victim was Olympe de Gouges, a playwright who had written the Declaration of the Rights of Woman and the Female Citizen. She fought for women's rights, but was executed for her outspoken views. Even Robespierre himself was eventually arrested and executed in 1794. By 1799, after years of chaos, France needed order. That's when a brilliant military general stepped in, Napoleon Bonaparte. Napoleon staged a coup, took control of the government, and became first consul. He promised stability, introduced new laws, and even crowned himself Emperor of France in 1804. For a while, France was stronger than ever, but Napoleon's ambition would lead to wars across Europe, and eventually he would be defeated and exiled. Still, one thing was clear: the world had changed forever. The French Revolution ended monarchy, inspired revolutions worldwide, and introduced the idea that power belongs to the people, but it also showed the dangers of too much power in the wrong hands. So, what do you think? Was the revolution worth it? Let me know in the comments.